guys, and welcome back to the randomized K-On! Pokemon Team Series. Let's wrap up Generation 5 with Sawako's Unova team. Sawako's first Pokemon will be Cofagrigus. Not bad of a start. Cofagrigus is a very tricky Pokemon to go against, based on what I've seen in challenge videos, and a spooky ghost seems like something Sawako might use. It's 50-50 with its stats. 3 are amazing, 3 are abysmal. For abilities, it's weird. Mummy does replace the ability of an opponent if it hits Cofagrigus with a physical attack, but in terms of really benefiting the Pokemon, it doesn't do anything. For level up moves, it gets very few actual attacks, so going off this alone makes me think it would be more of a support Pokemon. For TMs, Psychic and Energy Ball are good coverage, but the list doesn't open up all that much. So, an alright start for Sawako. It's not exactly gonna be hurling powerful attacks left and right, but the variety would lend itself to some interesting strategies. Sawako's second Pokemon will be Muck. I'm not entirely sure how Sawako would feel using this thing, but Muck's not terrible to have. It has miserable speed, though it is a giant pile of sludge, but everything else ranges from decent to very good. For abilities, I feel Poison Touch is the best. Muck's not going first against anything but the slowest opponents. For level up moves, the addition of ground moves is nice, though I'm not entirely sure how useful they'd be. For TMs, it does get some variety. There's definitely a lot of options to go for. So, not too shabby. It's still not as useful since this is still Gen 5, but once the Fairy type shows up, I think Muck could definitely put in some work. Sawako's third Pokemon will be Samurott. Okay, we have one of the starters appearing, right at the last Gen 5 episode. Samurott certainly seems like a strong Pokemon. I used Emboar in Black version, so I'm not entirely sure how good it really is. It is very much a mixed attacker with pretty decent HP, but it's kinda slow and lacks overall bulk. For abilities, Shell Armor seems better. It would be pretty difficult to accurately manipulate its HP into the exact range for Torrent. For level up moves, the fact that it has the chance to start with Mega Horn is phenomenal. That would be extremely helpful for countering grass types. For TMs, it does get some nice coverage options, so a really good team member for Sawako to get. I couldn't begin to guess which Unova starter is the best, though Erizo did actually cover that in a past video, since it would depend on whether we were taking the original Gen 5 games or the remakes into account. Sawako's fourth Pokemon will be Wailord. That's pretty good. I would imagine Wallace's Wailord has caused people problems before. I know it was quite tricky in one of MJTV's challenge runs. While it does have insane HP, like Pokemon such as Chansey, its defenses are pitiful, so I don't imagine it's as bulky as it probably should be. But the attacking stats are good. For abilities, while having a burn immunity is very helpful, when is a water type ever getting burned outside of maybe Will-O-Wisp? For level up moves, it gets very decent attacks. While it's not super accurate, Bounce can help against grass types, and Water Spouts can be devastating if you can keep Wailord healthy. For TMs, it's pretty small, but the addition of Ice and Ground to counter Grass and Electric won't exactly be rejected. So a very powerful Pokemon. If used well, it could cause some real headaches. Sawako's fifth Pokemon will be Stoutland. Sawako gets a doggy! I can't imagine she'd be displeased about that, but Stoutland should not be underestimated. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's got great attack and defenses, and it isn't all that slow, so it will dish out and take hits pretty well. For abilities, Scrappy I feel is the most useful. Ghost types can be tricky for normal types to deal with unless they have the coverage for them, so having a way to reliably hit them is very welcome. For level up moves, anytime a Pokemon has natural access to the Elemental Fangs, it's extremely good. If you can get all 3, plus Crunch, you can hit pretty much every type for at least neutral damage. For TMs, it's not the most expensive, but Stoutland still gets a few options, though Thunderbolt should really be avoided as it does not have the special attack for it. So another great addition to the team. While normal types kinda fell off after Gen 1, you can still get substantial use from them. And Sawako's last Pokemon will be Bisharp. That's a great way to end the team. Bisharp's quite powerful. While it does have a crippling fighting weakness, that shouldn't be too hard to work around. It has terrific physical stats. It'll hit like a truck. For abilities, Inner Focus seems the best. Flinching is a real problem, especially from Serene Grace Pokemon, so being immune to that is most helpful. For level up moves, there's some nice attacks here, though I can't see Fury Cutter being that useful. For TMs, it gets a decent amount of coverage, and Aerial Ace would certainly help with the fighting weakness. So a damn good ending to Sawako's team. Having the Steel type helps a lot with resistances, even though Dark isn't really the best type to pair it with. But with a bit of work, you can get around that. And that's it for Sawako's Gen 5 team. This is a really powerful team for her. There's really nothing here that could be considered a dud. They're all strong Pokemon. As always, please rate, comment, and subscribe, consider backing me on Patreon, and remember to stay chilled.